Welcome to Fuller Expectations, the podcast for anyone who feels that the path that they're on just isn't what they wanted or expected to be at this point in their lives. I'm Carrie Fuller, your host, and I am so excited that you took the time to listen in today. That tells me that you are investing in yourself, and that's exactly the type of person this podcast is for. Every week, we're going to have real conversations, share inspiring stories, and offer you the support that you need to create a life that feels aligned with your goals, your passion, and your purpose. A life that's just truly authentically yours. If you're interested in better, you are in the right place. We deserve to live a life that offers us true joy, no matter what age or stage we're in. If you like what you've heard today and thought of someone who might benefit by it, please share this podcast with them. Now, let's get right into it. I am super excited to welcome a very special guest to talk about something that I think so many people will find beneficial. It is the supplement industry and what's real and what's hype. Our special guest tonight is Adrianne Carbonell Ruiz, and Adrianne is a powerhouse in the world of wellness and entrepreneurship. With over 2 decades as a certified personal trainer and passionate health advocate, she has dedicated her life to helping others look, feel, and live their very best life. She is the proud mom of twins, and she knows firsthand what it means to build a thriving business while balancing motherhood and life. After 16 years of remarkable success in her industry, Adrianne has become well respected for her heart-centered leadership and her unique ability to help others create a business that thrives. Whether she's coaching new entrepreneurs, leading wellness transformations, or guiding her team through mindset breakthroughs, Adrianne brings unmatched experience, authenticity, and results in everything she does. She is the expert that you want in your corner, whether you're ready to elevate your health, your wealth, or make a true impact on yourself and those around you. Adrianne is your girl, and she is right here with us today, sharing her experience, and you will be so glad that you tuned in to listen. If you think about anybody that might benefit from this information, please share this podcast. We would love to have others get the messaging that we are about to share with you all right now. We're going to dive right in and welcome Adrianne to Fuller Expectations. Adrianne, thanks so much for joining me. I am super excited to have you on tonight.
Thank you, Carrie. I'm happy to be here.
Your background is absolutely perfect for this podcast episode, Wellness Without the Noise. We're going to dive into some really good information. I think it's going to be helpful for so many people because the fact is, I mean, we both know this, the supplement industry is so confusing.
Yes.
There's just so many products on the shelves, and you see people standing in CVS and other places just staring at things because they don't know what to buy. So it'll be really nice to talk about that and guide people with some information. Of course, you know, we're not physicians and we're not trying to cure any health issues or anything like that, but it's sharing information that might be helpful. So we'll just get right into it. So in the theme of the supplement industry, let's talk a little bit about what's real and what's hype. So from your background, Adrianne, why is there so much confusion around supplements today?
Everybody's an expert, right? And so we live in a very digital age, Carrie. And so what I'm seeing is that there's new information all the time. All of a sudden, what was good even 30 days ago is now no longer good because somebody has discovered something new. And that means that the old way is old and the new way is just that, it's new. So there's a lot of hype around supplementation, I think, and not so much emphasis on like the tried and true basics of you are what you absorb and just really watching what happens there. I do feel like the kind of the old age of supplements we would say things like you are what you eat, and that's not necessarily true. Like through science and technology, we're discovering that it's so much more than that, but at the same time, what comes with that is a lot of information, some misinformation in my opinion, and some information that it's valid, it's good, and the scientific research is backing that, but not all of it's good. And so we just live in an information overload world, I think. And so next thing you know, you've got, a new health professional popped on, created a YouTube about XYZ, the newest fad, diet or weight loss program, or this supplement works for this and nothing else. And, it's just not, that's not really the way the human body works. And I think innately as humans, if we really dive into whole health and whole body health, we realize we're not just one or two or a couple of different nutrients. Our bodies need so much to really be able to not only survive, which I do feel like a lot of us are in survival mode, but actually thrive. So that's what I would say. Just information overload, Carrie. It's
Yeah,
hard to sort through, hard to sort
with
through.
yeah, social media and everything too. Everybody's promoting something and it does get
Yeah.
confusing. And when you add that element to it, like you said, the digital world, it just is so confusing. That is so
Hmm.
true. And today it's different too. If we look at supplements today, what should someone listening look for on a label to know whether or not a
Yeah.
product is actually high quality?
I think that there's a couple things I look for. One, is it whole food? Is it non-GMO? Is it third party tested? Is it highly vetted? And then there's deeper things you can go into, like, could your doctor find it, for example? And see, this is the thing, like, no, there are no supplements out there that are FDA regulated or regulated by the FDA, because that's the Food and Drug Administration, not the supplement, administration. And so supplements are kind of like the Wild West. And so when you're looking specifically for a good supplement, you need to make sure that it's scientifically backed, that the studies are there, that you can actually find those studies. And so, for example, there's a product that I love, and it's listed in the PDR. That's the prescriber's digital reference. It used to be called the physician's desk reference. It was like a big book that sat on your doctor's desk with all different types of pharmaceutical drug as well as nutraceuticals. And so that it takes a lot of vetting. A lot of money goes into, making sure that those types of supplements are actually tested, that they go through what we call CGMP, certified good manufacturing practices. A lot of times they need to be ADT advanced to it's not just an expensive product that you're urinating out, unfortunately, that it's a product that's actually being absorbed. And so that's just it. It's not, you want to make sure it's being absorbed and it's scientifically backed and that it's third party tested. So those would be some of my qualifications I'd be looking for.
Yeah, so you bring up an interesting point. So PDR.net is actually available for the public to go on and look up the supplement that they're using, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And also medical professionals research there a lot, right? And so, a lot of times, you've got medical professionals out there that might see the value in certain supplementation, but they can't actually find it. Like, how would it interact if I'm prescribing, XYZ to a patient of mine or to a client of mine? And so there are several, I think there's about 19 nutraceutical companies currently listed in the PDR, but there are some that really stand out from the rest. And so I do think that's a great source for the public to look at.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So somebody could just, if they're taking, this is a crazy one, for example, Centrum, if they go on
Yeah.
PDR.net and type in their Centrum, they're probably not going to find it, right?
Probably not. No, that's just not something that those companies would do or spend millions of dollars doing. Whereas I think more there are really, and here's the thing too, like there's just because we have a plethora of supplementation doesn't mean it's all good, right? And so you have to look for, again, that high quality, more what I would call like luxurious boutique type products that show the science of absorption. That's kind of what I look for. Yeah, and there's some
Yes.
tried and true out there, right? There's standard process and Thorm and Zymogen and lots of stuff that health professionals use, things like that. They want to get you on full script. It's easier to purchase through full script. Well, there's all of that, right? And those are okay too. Those are good. But I sometimes like to look for things that make a little bit more sense as far as like, how are they actually being manufactured and how do I know who's manufacturing and who's behind that, right? And so I look for the story as well as the science backing.
Yeah, that's a great point. And so when we talk about this, my next question is more always better when it comes to vitamins and wellness routines?
I mean, look, you can overdose on anything, right? I mean, you really can if you think about it,
Yeah.
if you took too much, vitamin K or vitamin D or, like you could, right? Anyone can overdose on anything. Having something in excess quantity is usually not good, moderation in all things. But what I would say is that it's important to look at labels for sure, to be, somebody who's sort of, checking all of the labels on everything. And sometimes when you get products out there that the supplement company knows that they probably don't have very many delivery modalities in the product. For example, you have companies out there that usually use maybe one delivery modality. And what do I mean by a delivery modality, Carrie? What I mean is like, how is that nutrient actually getting absorbed? Is it coupled with a sugar? Is it coupled with a protein? Is it coupled with enzymes or probiotics? Does it need to be hydrolyzed or micronized? Or, does it need micelles or adjuvants? Would it be best liposomally, right? These are a lot of things that's not out for public consumption all the time. It's more that you have to be educated on it personally. So what I would say is when you have products that use better delivery modalities, at a minimum, a good enzyme or a probiotic, right? Then no, you don't need 2000 IU of whatever, right? To get up to really absorb that product. What you need is a product that gets absorbed appropriately so that you're not having to like overdo it. For example, same thing with like omega 3s and even protein. When I was working with athletes to do physique coaching and bikini competitions and all of that, I knew that they were urinating the majority of those supplements out that were on the, I guess, lower quality end that didn't have those delivery modalities. So I would up their probiotics, I'd up their digestive enzymes, and then it would up the quantity of what they were taking based on the amount of effort, right? The workload or the work to rest ratio of like how much they were actually working out versus how much they were eating. And so those are things that have to be carefully looked at. And so, no, you don't always need just huge, copious amounts of something because you're urinating most of it out. What you need is a good, high quality product that's using the right delivery modality for the right nutrients.
That's perfect. Let's shift to this topic of the unique needs, especially for midlife wellness. Some of us are midlife. So, as we talk about midlife wellness, how do our health needs change in the second half of life?
Well, your hormones change, right? I mean, it is the aging process, right? So, like here we are talking about the human body and the organs and the tissues and all the systems, right? Well, the human body is the master of compensation, but we also have our own biological clock, and everybody is aging, right? People are always like, I don't want to die. I'm like, it's too bad, you're dying. Like it's happening already. But how can we help you live in the best quality of life while you are essentially aging? And so when we talk about middle-aged wellness, it's really important. There's a few key factors. It's really important that your body's actually getting really good nutrition in, i.e. supplementation, because there is not enough food on the planet that you can consume on a daily basis that is actually going to give you what you need. So contrary to popular belief where everybody says, oh, all you have to do is eat really good food. All right, well, let's talk about really good food. Do we have really good food in America? Do we? Because we need to talk about the quality, right? Even being USDA organic doesn't guarantee that all the nutrients is in there. And so now to look at the way that our soils have been, without lack of a better word, just absolutely bastardized because we've used so many toxins and impurities, pesticides, herbicides, we even there's, radiation in a lot of our food too. So when you think about that, I mean, it's kind of interesting, right? So we need to be looking out for ourselves. Are we eating real food? There's a case for that. There's a huge case for are we eating real food? Because if we did, why are we so obese too? Because we're fighting microplastics and everything too right now. So it's kind of crazy in that regard. So what I will say, as far as midlife, yes, you need to be supplementing with some really high quality supplements. For women upwards of the age of even 30, but really 40, I would say, you want a certain amount of lean proteins, good quality, clean proteins, because you lose 0.25% of your lean muscle mass every decade after the age of 30. And so what happens is you start to age without even realizing it. Men hold on to lean muscle mass a little bit more naturally than women do. So it's important for us to do that. As well as on top of that, well, our hormones are completely different from men. Men do go through their own version of menopause. Women, we talk about that more. And there's a lot of scientific back research around menopause and the hormonal changes that women actually incur and how to really work with it instead of against it. I'm actually pro-aging. I'm not anti-aging. I'm pro-aging, but doing it in a way that supports the body so that it's not, wreaking havoc on your daily lifestyle, right? So as far as that goes, there's a couple things that women can use and do on a daily basis that they can supplement with that make a big difference in how they experience that aging process for sure.
And are you familiar with any common deficiencies or areas of concern that you see maybe in people over the age of 50?
as far as deficiencies, what I would say is there's a lot of lack of nutrition in it. Oh, and people are tired, right? And so they actually end up overeating a lot of times because they're stressed out. So I would say it has a lot to do with not only lifestyle and environment, as well as maybe not having all the right information about what to do. People can be paralyzed with either over information or misinformation, and so they don't really know and they don't activate anything. And so what I would say is this: at a basis, as far as deficiencies go, I do see upward trends of people experiencing an autoimmune issues, a lot of digestive issues. The older they get, they struggle to digest appropriately a lot of the foods that they're used to eating. Maybe they're getting more heartburn, maybe they're having hot flashes in the middle of the night, because where they used to be able to drink 1 to 2 glasses, at night and sleep fine, now they're not. Maybe they're having increased bouts of anxiety. There's just a lot of things. Of course, we could go into even more like things like loss of bone density, right? And loss of lean muscle mass. So that's what I would say I see a lot of. It could be hair loss, it could be wrinkles, fine lines, wrinkles. Yeah, so those are all like very asymptomatic and just like what we consider normal aging. But what's not normal is to be in pain constantly. What's not normal is to have so much inflammation in the body that, you feel like you can't get up out of bed, like you're having a hard time sitting up out of bed and walking normally, right? Those are things that I hear a lot of, but it has to do with toxicity and malnutrition and excess of inflammation.
Yes, and I read something recently too, because a lot of people will comment that they eat healthy, so they don't really understand the difference between why they would need supplements and somebody else. And I was reading about that and about quality of the soil today and the quality of the air and the water and how different it is, because it's actually been tested versus 50 years ago even. So not that long of a period of time, but how much the soil, the air, and the water has changed. And this is where we're growing food in the air that we breathe. So
Well, yeah. Yeah, 100%. So it is not the same. You can't tell me it's the same. And I know scientifically it's not the same. And so that's what the research shows. And I think that there is something to where somebody could be in that environment and be completely healthy because mentally they've chosen to not be affected. But they are being affected. It's just that mentally they're telling themselves all the time, I'm in good health, I'm doing the best, I'm so great, blah blah blah. And that's actually a good thing. It is kind of a good thing to sort of hallucinate your way to health. To do prefer that people have a healthy amount of ignorance to what's happening, because they sometimes are the healthiest because they just decide to persevere, as versus asking themselves, why does everything hurt? Why this? Why that? Why that? Right? So there is a chapter that I would say that could be that, a lot of the health issues that we incur as we age too can also be psychosomatic. At the same time, it's important to recognize that there is actual real science behind that. And if we're eating tons and tons of food in our day because we are still tired, we're lacking energy, we're not able to sleep better at night, we're losing focus even, all of that. I mean, we're eating tons of food, but it's not making a difference. Why are people still hungry? Why do people come home from a stressed day of work at any age and they make dinner and then they have second dinner and then they have dessert, right? Why? Why do we keep eating? A lot of it is because we're not satisfied. Our actual tissues, our actual body, actually what we absorb is not satisfying us. So it's a myriad of things.
even those who feel like they're eating whole food, nutritious, very healthy diets definitely need to look at supplementation as well.
Yes.
So I think that's really important. I've heard that from so many people. They say, well, I eat really healthy, I don't need to worry about it. But it's just not the way that it used to be in regards to, growing foods and things like that. And I think another area that a lot of people don't know about is how, when you think about our skin actually absorbs things. So even something like deodorant, you
Yeah.
put deodorant on, and if you look at the ingredients in your deodorant, especially if you buy it off the shelf, at the grocery store or CVS, there's metals in there.
Yeah, a ton. Like I said again, it's kind of difficult because people are going to produce products like they're going to produce products like they're going to produce products. And because we're consumers of those products and we do use them, and let's face it, we're living in a world where we do want some of those conveniences, right? Like, hey, if this works, I'm not going to switch my deodorant to a clay paste if it means I'm walking around stinky. So people have to pick and choose their battles nowadays as consumers, right? We're not all out on the farm and completely clean soil growing our own plants. We're consumers. We go to Whole Foods, we go to the grocery store, right? So we're not, slaughtering our own animals for meat. So those that do that, yeah, I mean, that is a huge elevated step above, but they still require supplementation because, again, I don't know where that crop has it ever been treated? Most likely, people would say, and what we hear is that about 78% of the time, yes, most likely all of those lands have been treated at some point, right? It's interesting because it's just the way that the practices are. So our standards are a little bit different. Is there a case for supplementation? Without a doubt, we know that the science that it's better to have a multivitamin than to not, even once a day. There's absolutely a difference between a Centrum and a carefully crafted and curated product, for sure.
What can you tell us about your non-negotiables when it comes to proactive wellness?
All right, this is a really good question. My first non-negotiable is actually sleep. People are always
Mm.
like, what? Yeah, you need to prioritize sleep. It's the only time of the day that your body actually gets to shut down and rest. If you can get yourself into a REM state, then actually you consider yourself rested. A lot of times people are sleeping. Maybe they're not breathing appropriately. If they're overweight, they may have sleep apnea. They're not actually getting the kind of, oxygen that they require to fully heal the body. And so there are all those types of things. But yeah, you need to prioritize sleep. I would say the other thing is definitely outside of sleep. It is what you put in your body, right? If we are consumers, do we have a choice? Yes, we have a choice. But it's not all your fault what's available to you. But what you can do is do your best. And so that's what I tell people. Like in your day, are you doing your best to protect yourself, to protect your family's health? Are you eating organically as much as possible? Are you taking supplements as much as possible? So I would say that food is a big thing because, at the end of the day, and for somebody who's been in health and wellness and personal training for over 2 decades, I can work somebody out all day long, but I'm working against if they're still driving through the drive-through every night, right? So it's like putting what you put in your body is huge. I would say it's 70%, maybe even 80%, where that extra, probably say 10% sleep, 10% at what you physically do to your body. So some people might disagree, but I do think that it is very important. So, okay, so I would say, yeah, the food you put in your body, sleep, the food you put in your body, those are non-negotiables to me because those are the things I can control the most. And then outside of that, yes, physical exercise is key. We have to move our bodies. Right, our bodies they compensate naturally. If you're not moving, if you can't even get out and walk 20 minutes a day, are you even prioritizing your health? I ask people that because the reality is your body does require movement. In fact, the older people get, and we're talking about aging gracefully, but the older people get, I hear this all the time, the less I move, the more pain I'm in. But then sometimes the more I move, if I move too much, the more pain I'm in, right? So how do you find a balance? Well, just move your body, right? Do something, move your body. It helps everything. It helps the lymph, nodes. It helps everything. It helps move the colon, the digestive tract, all of that. You've got to move your body. So that would be the third thing. And then outside of that, I would say the fourth thing is really having a spiritual aspect to your life, I think helps. I would say 90% of the time when I'm coaching somebody, those that do have, that maybe they believe in something greater than themselves or they have a mission, they have a purpose, they have a why for why they're living and why they're wanting to maintain their health. They just thrive so much more, right? Because they're on a mission, they have a plan, there's a reason why they're doing this. And that's huge. Even if let's say you've got nobody left, no family, nothing, you're alone or whatever. Do you have a pet that you live for, right? Do you have somebody that requires that you get up and you do something about your health so that you're not just answering to yourself, but you're answering to something even more outside of yourself? And for whatever reason, that always helps. It could even be like, as far as physical fitness goes, when I'm coaching somebody, I always ask them, do you have an event, right? Is there a wedding coming up? Is there a reason? Is there a vacation? Is there a reason you need to do this? And you've got to attach yourself and adhere yourself to a why. If it's not just because I love myself enough to do this for myself. And I would say the most powerful athletes and people who are really prioritize their wellness on a daily basis, they do it for themselves and nobody else. So don't wait for motivation from an outside source, but it doesn't hurt. So hopefully that helps a little bit. I would say you've got to do it for yourself. For me, I've got to do it for myself. And I've got people counting on me, right? And a lot of us do. So remember that. So those are my
Yeah.
non-negotiables as far as that
I
goes.
love it. I love them all. And I agree 100%. I think today we live in a very high pressure, high stress world. And people, a lot of times, there's a lot of people that just need to also give themselves some grace. And so,
Hmm.
around that, what is one belief about aging or health that you feel like people just need to let go of?
That's a great question. I would say for me, I think the harder you are on yourself, you need to watch the way you talk to yourself. And there's
Yeah,
just not enough people doing that. Some of the things that we say to ourselves, we would never say to another human being ever.
that's
Right.
so
And
true.
so your self talk is what is either going to make you or break you. So I would say that that would be my biggest thing when it comes to aging. It isn't the number. It's never the number. That's not the your actual age number, right? It's not even the number on a scale. It's none of that. It's actually your own belief, your own personal dogma about how you feel about yourself. Do I deserve to be healthy? Do I deserve to be in good health? What does it mean if I were to outlive my spouse or my partner? And this I've seen this happen where, let's say you're a parent and you have a child pass before you. Let's say your child has a heart attack at 50 and you're 80 years old and you're still hanging in there, right? There's a lot of guilt and heartbreak that goes along with that. And I think we need to stop feeling so guilty about everything all the time. It's not helping, it's not serving us, it's not serving our family, it's not serving our children. We need to just love on ourselves just a little bit more and stop talking to ourselves like we don't deserve to be just an absolute queen or king.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because we do. We speak poorly to ourselves a lot of times.
I agree.
Instead of speaking belief into ourselves, like I can do it. We got this. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to get better. I'm actively working on this right now. I'm sleeping better tonight. I'm eating better today. Right? I'm moving my body today.
We're going to
Yep.
share a few practical tips right now and takeaways. So I have three takeaways that I want to leave people with. And
Mhm.
here's what they are. Where should someone start if they're overwhelmed by the supplement aisle?
It is overwhelming. I think, right, you need to have at least a really good multivitamin of some sort. It should be highly absorbable. Maybe look for something that's carefully crafted. What I mean by that is that the ingredients are whole food, they're non GMO. I like to look for other things too: no fillers, no additives, no artificial flavors, colors, things like that. They should be somewhere along those lines. But a good multivitamin is a base because that's really the core for good nutrition. It's sort of the foundational piece for good nutrition. Outside of what you're personally consuming and eating, are you taking something that's going to cross those T's and dot those I's? So I think a good multivitamin. Outside of that, I mean, we could go really deep into even just making sure you're clearing and cleaning and clearing out things like bad energy drinks, poor energy drinks, things that are not good for you. That's usually a big thing. I mean, I just went to a networking event, gosh, a couple weekends ago, and I was in that room, and every single person had either a coffee that had too much sugar in it. They had an energy drink. Some of them had soda. It was 9 a.m. Why are you drinking a soda? Things like
Hmm.
that. So I look at all that kind of stuff. So I say, clean out the energy drinks. If you can find a good, clean source of energy, I think that's a big deal. Something, clean caffeine is what I would put that in the category of, because, even pre-workouts, I see some of these kids walking in the gym with these huge pre-workouts, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I mean, just weakening your muscles, you're weakening your adrenals. I don't prefer those because I've been in and out of a gym long enough to see that, some people, they can have a heart attack with how much caffeine and things are in those. So watching that for sure. I would say get a good protein source in if you can find a good way to supplement some additional protein in there. A good clean protein, plant-based or whey, either way. It's important. I like to teach my people, if they really want to lose weight, let's say they're even having a coffee, I'll even buy a liquid protein shake. I know it's not always the best because they've got, sometimes they have gums and fillers and stuff, but if you can get in 30 grams of protein within 30 minutes of waking, especially if you're a middle-aged woman, that's a big deal because you start the process of burning fat. I'm not a huge believer in intermittent fasting. I think there's a time and a place for it. I don't love it every day. Not that there's not science behind it. I just think it's non-sustainable for a lot of people. For women in their 40s, I think they got to cut that crap out because, like, you've got to feed your body and start your metabolism. Otherwise, you're just dragging till noon until you're ready to eat something. No, I don't have time for that. I don't know what woman does, to be honest with you. So I think it's important to have at least 30 grams of protein within 30 minutes upon waking, unless you're hitting the gym to go do some cardio, then right after, right? So let me
Yeah.
see. multivitamin, clean caffeine, good source of protein. I think collagen is massive. If you can get a good collagen product, especially for aging, 73% of the tissues in your body are made up of collagen. It makes sense. You know, you lose 1% production of collagen every year after the age of 30 as well. So it makes sense, all the reasons and the valid reasons for wanting to take collagen, but make sure you have a really good, clean collagen. I prefer type 1, Meridian collagens, very clean sources. And if you can get it liquid, even better. The powdered, sometimes you can find a lot of heavy metals and things in there. So I prefer liquid, but I prefer it to be hydrolyzed and micronized. So again, protein, collagen's a huge molecule. It's like trying to throw a football through a chain link fence to get it to absorb. You know what's funny? Turmeric is the same, and yet everyone's doing golden milk and everything out. Turmeric is almost as large a molecule as collagen. And people are eating copious amounts of it, not realizing they're urinating 78% of it out. So I would say turmeric is a great product for it's an anti-inflammatory, right? It helps with inflammation in the body. And I would say 86% of people struggle with what we call superoxide, which is an overproduction of bad inflammation in the body. So if you can find a really good high grade quality turmeric product, that makes a huge difference. I know I've got one that I use, and I've got a collagen product that I use that are highly, highly vetted and highly absorbable. You take 2 caplets and, it can reduce superoxide by 36% upon taking it. Whereas you go out there and you start putting, you'd have to eat like 3 pounds of food grade turmeric to get type of superoxide reduction. So I've definitely found in the market what I use as far as anti-inflammatories, natural anti-inflammatories. And I love that because, after I had my twin girls, I was diagnosed with thyroid disease. And so inflammation has been something that I consistently work on, right? Not having to have those symptoms of that, the hair loss, the even heart palpitations sometimes, having to be on a thyroid pill for life is never fun. But there's different ways that you can handle that. I prefer natural thyroid supplement, powdered beef organs or organs if you can, as long as they're clean and they're, they don't have a bunch of heavy metals. I'm kind of going off on a tangent there personally, but good collagen product, good turmeric, something for inflammation. Powdered mushrooms. I love mushrooms. I think everybody that's doing all these really cool mushroom coffees, I think that's significant. But they say that it doesn't kill the absorption by heating it or making it into a coffee or a liquid, maybe not too hot. But I just don't trust that process. I think anytime you overheat something, to that extent, you're really not probably getting the fullness or the full potency out of the plant. And so I think powdered mushrooms. And, I've got a product that's an immune support product that has 4 different types of nootropic mushrooms in it, but it's powdered and I'm ingesting it that way. I'm not overheating it. So I feel like I get much better absorption on it.
Wow,
So good immune support product. Yeah. So anyways, I would say that there, but as far as anti-aging, yes, I think good collagen sources is also a good form of protein. And if you can find a good anti-aging product, something that helps with better cell-to-cell communication, liposomal resveratrol, glutathione, I definitely have a product for that I use. It's liquid. That would be another one because it's just, you need good, high-quality antioxidants. You can't go out and eat 40 acai berry bowls in a day, right? You've got to have a good, high-quality product that absorbs appropriately into the cell that leads to better cell-to-cell communication in the body. And so
wow. No, that's
I could go
great.
on. But yeah.
I was going to ask you if there's brands that you recommend that have that science backed, and we can certainly link that in the notes for anybody that might want more information on that.
So the latest thing that I have found, I love this company. It's called 3 International. They have a formulator there named Dr. Dan Gubler. I followed him before that. I know he's formulated for other companies before, but I knew him. If you research him back in the day when he was working for Big Pharma too, they called him Dr. Dan the Molecule Man. He's definitely a nerd. He loves molecules. If you watch some of his videos on TikTok and Instagram, you'll see that he's definitely very educational. He takes really big science-y things and puts them into layman terms for you and I. So we understand, why do we need blueberries or why do we need this, that kind of a thing. So I really appreciate his wisdom and his knowledge on that. I feel like he is somebody who tests a lot. They do third-party testing. He's got certifications, clinical dossiers. His products are listed in the PDR, and he's the only formulator that's listed in the PDR that has more than 2 products listed in the PDRs. I believe his entire line has been vetted and listed in the PDR. So that's significant. Lots of medical professionals who actively use and promote his products because they can find them there.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
3 International.
So we're going to end this in a really fun way because I have some questions that some people sent in to us along the lines of myth or bust. We have 3 questions.
Okay.
So, do supplements make up for a bad diet?
No. I would say that's a myth. You still need to have a clean diet, right? Does it help if you're driving through the drive-through every night, if that's your food of choice? Okay, it's not really food, but if it is, does it help to take a multivitamin? I'm not going to say it doesn't hurt. Of course it helps, but at the same time, like, come on, be smart, right? No, yeah. You need to try to eat as clean as possible as well.
My second question from a listener. Can I trust influencers who promote wellness products online?
Yeah, this is such my pet peeve right now because surely there are some out there that've done their own research, but here's the thing. A lot of them get paid to promote a specific product or brand, right? They'll accept brand offers, but I know that a lot of influencers, the good ones, will vet a product before they just go out and promote it, right? They're attaching something to their name and to their brand, so they should vet that appropriately. But does it happen? No, probably not all the time. I mean, it's easy to get a paycheck from a company and say, I'm going to go out and I'm going to promote the crap out of this, right? Because they're paying me to do so. I think people should get paid to promote good, high quality products. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying be careful. Again, do your own research, right? If somebody says XYZ product is the best and that's it, be leery of that because there is not one product. There's no one product wonder out there that is just going to fix or heal the body. So I'd be leery of that. If somebody said, this is all you ever need is just this, drink or just this pill, stuff like that. But I would definitely do your own research and vet it properly.
And my last question from a listener is, are expensive supplements really worth the money?
Now, this is interesting to me. Yeah, I do believe I am under the impression that you do get what you pay for, right? Good things are seldom cheap and cheap things are seldom good. So if you want high quality ingredients, a lot of times those do cost more than if you were to just go to Walmart or Costco or something and pick something up off the shelf. So again, it's all about like you as a consumer really checking to see like how that product, again, is it non-GMO? What are the certifications behind it? But I do buy more expensive products myself. I do like a more high-end, luxurious, boutique-y line of products because, again, the testing is there and I know I'm paying for quality. Good things are seldom cheap and cheap things are seldom good because the reality is that the way that products are put together these days, there are a lot of companies who cut corners because 83% of the time, what you're purchasing is a white labeled product, right? So if you have let's say a new doctor or somebody who's excited and they say, oh, I've got this XYZ product I'm creating and it's the best on the market. And then come to find out they just went to a manufacturer, said, these are the products I want thrown together. And it was really just a riff off of another, let's say greens or something like that. Okay. But they added one thing different. Well, we call that white label. So white label means that they don't have to guarantee that the nutrients are actually listed in the bottle in the quantities at which they say they are, because again, nobody is testing. So you need to make sure that the product is tested. Well, products that are tested, gosh, 3 International, I think they spend $3 million a year in testing to make sure that everything that they say, if it says it's got 200 milligrams of liposomal resveratrol in their anti-aging product, it's not under 200 and it's not above 205. That's the kind of testing that costs money. So my answer is I get what you pay for.
And I think too, as we think about that, I think definitely those of us who are in the back half of life, and for some that's in the 30s, some 40s and some 50s. I think this is the most precious time for us to be investing in our health. That's
insurance isn't cheap. And we pay for that, right? And and then all of a sudden, if you get sick, guess what? Being sick isn't cheap. It's expensive. It costs you money. It costs your whole family money. Yeah. So if you were to put even a third, a quarter, I don't know, 1/16% of what you might normally spend on some of those other things into taking good care of yourself and into your health, then yeah, life might not be, it might be more affordable later on, right? Because you are in good health.
I would much rather invest in myself than have to see doctors and take prescriptions down the road because I didn't. Well, that's a great way to end it.
Yay!
Thank you so much, Adrianne.
Oh, you're welcome. I hope it's helpful. I hope that there's just even one or two or a couple people out there that find value in this. That's all I care about. My motto has always been, I just want people to be happier and healthier. And Carrie, people laugh at me, but it really is the truth. I just want people to be happier and healthier. And if that's just like this one contribution I could give to this time that I'm on this planet, then I feel like I will have been a success. So that's my end game.
I appreciate you being with us tonight. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thanks for listening today. If this episode sparked something in you, please share it with a friend, leave a comment or a review, and reach out and let me know what resonated. Remember, no matter what age or stage of life you're in, you can pivot. And always remember, the second half of life is not a winding down. It's a waking up. Please follow or subscribe. We'd love to have you as part of our podcast family. Let's keep showing up and being the best version of ourselves. Until next time, take care.